Hello, people. Andrew here, talking about comics from a reader, collector, speculator, investor point of view, that order of importance to myself. Today I'm looking at a book called Twisted Tales, and the company that released this was PC Comics. I haven't talked about PC Comics that much in the past, so here's a brief rundown of their history. So in 1971, there were two brothers, Bill and Steve Shanes, who were working out of San Diego. And in 1971, they started up a mail order and distributing company for comic books. They sold back issues. Some of their ads are in the 70s books that you can see from Marvel. I'm not sure if it was from DC or not, but I know from Marvel. And they distributed some of the independents and what have you from around the Bay Area or not the Bay Area, but around from California, from other areas. They distributed these to comic book shops. And that started in 1971. And in 1981, they decided they wanted to get into the publishing business. And they began releasing a series of titles with the PC Comics banner. They had some good connections. Right off the bat, to start things off, they had connections with Jack Kirby. And they got Jack Kirby to create and release a project called Captain Victory. And of course, Jack Kirby, whether you love him or hate him, he's a big name when it comes down to comic books. And having a new release by Jack Kirby under your brand new publishing company was a significant move. People noticed. They also encouraged other talent to join and write their own material. Again, the creators would own their material. PC would just have the rights to distribute it. Mike Grell came along and he did Star Slayer. That was supposed to be a DC project, but it didn't come through with DC, so he brought the title over to PC Comics. They attracted other notables as well. Steve Ditko, somewhat of a reclusive man, he came out and did the Missing Man series, short bunch for Pacific Presents. You've got Sergio Aragones. He did Gru. That's where it started in PC Comics. And there was a couple of pages to fill in Star Slayer number 2. So they had a friend who had been going around showing some of his artwork and whatever by the name of Dave Stevens. And Dave Stevens filled in those 2 issues, or those couple of pages, 2 or 3 pages, with a character called the Rocketeer. And there was other talent involved, and included in 1982, Bruce Jones, as famous as these other names that are presented, but a quality writer who had been writing a number of material, has continued to write beyond PC Comics. You might remember his run on The Incredible Hulk, and he did some Conan books, etc. So Bruce Jones came along and brought his concept for Twisted Tales. Bruce Jones did most of the writing for Twisted Tales. I think there's only like a handful of stories that were written by other writers. And it was his homage, his tribute, his love of the EC horror books from the 50s that prompted him to write these short tales. And there's about 3 horror tales per story. Twisted Tales ran from 1981 to 1984. There were 10 issues in all. The last 2 were published by Eclipse Comics because Pacific Comics unfortunately ran into some financial problems in about 84. So it was a very short-lived company. They broke down for a number of reasons. Part of it was the finances involved with distribution. They would ship books off to a couple of publishers, not publishers, to stores to be sold, but payments coming back were very slow, and it was a very narrow profit margin to begin with. And if they did not collect on some of these overdue dues, they found themselves falling into the hole and taking out bigger loans from the bank with higher interest, and it spiraled into a bad situation. They also lost some of their talent. Mike Grell took his material over to First Comics, which sort of set a bad ripple within the industry, saying, well, look, this guy signed up with PC Comics, but now he's leaving. I don't know that we want to, I don't know if I want to, attach my boat to that and try his publishing company. I might want to go somewhere else, maybe even to First. So the talent wasn't being attracted to a PC anymore. And he had some problems with some of the international sales. Some of the creators thought they deserved more money, so there was a few little lawsuits that thrown in there. And people that also published a lot of the independents, and there was a lot of independent publishers in the early 80s. They had a trepidation that they would lose, space on racks and what have you, if their distributor was also a distributor of their own products. So PC being a distributor of, say, First or whoever, but also publishing their own books, they would push their books ahead of, say, First. So there was a concern about that. All of these things combined to have PC close down its publishing branch. Still did distribution, but their publishing ended after 1984. They went into liquidation. So a couple of titles, Twisted Tales is one of them. It ran 8 issues for the PC run, and then 2 issues in Eclipse. So 10 in all, and primarily written by Bruce Jones. Now, Bruce Jones, either he knows people or it's because of the connections through the Shanes brothers that there was some top talent involved with Twisted Tales. Right here, you're looking at our Richard Corbin cover. And Richard Corbin provided some of the interior work for Twisted Tales, and I really like Richard Corbin's work, so this was a no-brainer for me to pick up this run. And I also like horror anthologies. Again, a no-brainer for me to pick this one up as well. So you got Richard Corbin doing covers, and you've got him doing interior artwork. You've got a Bernie Wrightson cover for issue number 2. Oh no, that's not true. This is issue number 3. I don't have the Bernie Wrightson one, which is a good one, but this is again another Richard Corbin one. So Richard Corbin did 1, 3, and 5. Bernie Wrightson did issue number 2, which is missing from my collection. John Bolton did 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and John Pound did number 10. You also have artists, John Bolton did interior work, Mike Plug, Val Mayrick, and even some stuff by Rick Geary. So it's a great little 10-book collection. And it's like any of these horror anthology stories, some are going to hit and some are going to miss. But overall, there's going to be something in there that you like. So I do recommend this series, especially if you're a horror reader. So this would be the first of the John Bolton covers, issue number 4. So yeah, it's definitely worth the read, especially if you're into that sort of horror anthology material, and just for the artwork alone, and sometimes just for some of these covers, which are pretty spectacular. As far as collections are concerned, you can collect it for the PC titles, which there won't be a lot of in that run. You can collect it for the artwork, various artists, as I've mentioned, and just as an anthology horror, which is, so it fits into a number of different collections. Speculation and investment on this, well, that's another Richard Corbin. It's not an expensive set. Even issue 1 is, $10 to $20 perhaps, and I'm sure you can. I mean, I found the 5, 6, and 7 just recently for $5 a pop. So it's not an expensive set to pick up. It can be a little difficult at times to find it in the wild. Because I think there is a certain demand. Horror fans tend to be not cultish, but they're very dedicated to horror, and I know that this is on their list of books to pick up, so it's not so easy to find these. Somebody might get ahead of you for it. So John Bolton did some of these painted covers. As far as, speculation, they do look nice, or investment, they do look nice in a plastic case, I'm sure, with a high grade on it. All of these are high grade books, but I don't think that's necessary if you're looking to sort of flip it and hope that getting a 9.8 issue number 1, that would probably be a solid investment if you could get it at a low price. Because, as I say, you can buy raw copies in a high grade of an issue number 1 for $10 to $20. So it's not that rare. And a lot of the horror fans, like myself, I don't want to have it encased in plastic because I'd like to read it from time to time and pull it out and read some of these stories. So I'm not going to have these ever graded. I'm just happy with the high grades that I have, and I can appreciate and enjoy the stories as we go along. So this is the last of the PC run, and then, as I say, issues number 9 and 10, they go over to Eclipse. But it was a fun series. If you're into that sort of, the horror genre, the horror run, the idea of the anthology, the homage or tribute or template from the EC horror, this is definitely one of those books that you should be taking a look at. And again, I like all of the art. I like, Richard Corbin, John Bolton, very high quality art, and the story says, say, there's bound to be something in every issue that you're going to enjoy. There'll be other ones that you think, nah, whatever, but overall, I think you'll find that if you're into the horror anthology, that this is a good series to pick up. That's it for today. That's it for Twisted Tales. So, be good to yourself and be good to those around you, and we'll talk again soon.